there's no big silver. You can't make any big purchase of silver. I mean, it's not available. The world's been in a deficit for 5 years. The deficit is widening. And I mean, you can see it. You can see the demand in both gold and silver by looking just at the front COMEX month each month, because you have, and I'll just use a round number of 100. You have 100 contracts standing for delivery day one. And by the end of the month, it's 150 or 200 contracts. And I know you remember very well, Andrew, the days back when there would be 100 contracts standing on day one and only 23 standing by the last day. You know, you'd have a lot of the front month contracts would bail out, they'd sell them and cash settle. That's not what's happening now. You've got buyers that are presenting their contract and say, hey, give me the metal.
Yeah, and that is a dangerous game for the COMEX to play. And I think, to be honest, we all saw those WikiLeaks reports that said why that actually illustrated or quoted the people who said let's get this COMEX market up and running. And I think it was 1974 when it actually was plugged in. Gold was plugged into the existing COMEX at the time, which I think COMEX has been running since the 30s. But they clearly said what we'll do is we'll introduce volatility, we'll make it very unattractive. And we've kind of come to the point now. What you're just saying here, essentially, there's nothing in there they've got no control. They're losing that one tool they had.
Yeah, and that one tool, COMEX futures, let's just use the word derivatives. They were able to bully the price of gold, bully the price of silver downward, while bullying or helping the prices of assets that they wanted higher, like bonds and stocks. They could bully those higher. The problem is, well, first off, let me just go back and say that I believe, and I think, tell me if you disagree or not, I believe that the contracts were originally issued, as you mentioned, to increase volatility, scare people, but also as if you want to call it a pressure relief valve on the buying of physical gold and silver. I said the same thing when GLD and SLV were created. I viewed those as pressure relief valves. I mean, they don't have to own any physical metal. They can have all contracts. And I'm going to go one step further, and don't know whether you'll agree or disagree, but I believe that the crypto market was created as a pressure relief valve from gold and silver, because they are viewed as an alternative, a dollar/currency alternative.
But silver's got my attention at the moment, and because you and I always have talked about silver. You've been so far ahead of the curve on silver, and I think it's now being by the US now suddenly naming it as a critical mineral. To me, that would mean that they're caught in a rock and a hard place here, because that means that US mined silver, that they probably start banning the sale of it. It has to be bought internally, perhaps. I don't know. What's your thoughts? Because to me, why would you allow a critical mineral to be sold?
Right. Well, I mean, look at it this way. Naming it as a strategic mineral or strategic metal automatically creates the demand of whatever the government's going to buy. And it automatically reduces the supply available to the market, because that supply is being bought up by the government. So you've already got a disastrous supply-demand equation. They just poured gasoline on that fire.
Yeah, and of course, what essentially we're saying here is that every other central bank, every other sovereign, everyone else is going to say, well, I'm not selling my silver at this price. I want a much higher price, and I don't quite know what that is yet.
The much higher price, I made the comment before we started recording, be careful what you wish for.
Yes, yes.
When we go through $50, uh, and that's if markets stay open. I mean, there could be a failure to deliver, this month. I mean, who knows? Uh, but once we get through $50, you've got people talking $100, $200, $600 silver. There's really, in today's world, there is no way to project a number that gold or silver can go to. And I mean, the reason being the parameters are zero and infinity. And the reason infinity is a parameter is because if a currency goes to zero, then it is priced at infinity in that currency. In other words, no amount of currency can buy an ounce of gold. That currency won't be accepted. And that's where we're headed on a global basis. I mean, if you think that the US dollar can collapse, crack up, and the system remain running, that's not going to happen. It can't happen.
Yeah, I think this is, that's something I think when we first.
It's a giant margin call.
Yeah.
This is a giant margin call that we're looking at. It's the margin call. It's the mother of all margin calls because the entire system is going to be called.
As you say, be careful what you ask for. So we all want a higher silver price. But what's that going to do? How do you think that'll play out? I certainly, obviously, it'll play out very well for the physical markets, the global physical markets who have got enough of this physical silver to play their game as they want to do now. I mean, in other words, and the fact is that now that everyone militarily is also looking at silver, and not just for green purposes, AI and all those kind of things. So who in their right mind is even going to, I mean, if you're a producer, yes, you have to sell. You have to keep in business. You have to sell something. But on the other hand, maybe you're not going to hedge it anymore.
Well, there are companies that have I think, at one point, First Majestic was holding back some of their production and not selling it because silver in a vault is better than money in a bank. But the be careful what you wish for part, if we had, and I don't know what the number is, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 gold, and I don't know what the number is on silver, but there's a number out there that implodes those markets. They no longer function as far as being able to deliver, which makes those contracts worth zero, but the ounces worth, immeasurable numbers. What that will do is it will break confidence. The entire system runs on confidence, and you'll see the system sputter. I don't believe any markets will still be open 72 hours after a failure to deliver. And if you get markets closing because everything runs on credit, then you enter the very real possibility, if not probability, of a spell where we live Mad Max world. And nobody wants Mad Max world. I mean, you could be sitting on the biggest pile of silver and it's still not going to do you any good because if you've not prepared, food wise, where your position is, can you defend that position? Mad Max world is something that no one, no matter how wealthy they are, no matter what they own, what they have, no one's going to thrive in that world.
We talked about this once before, Bill, and it really interested me, and it interested a lot of my friends and subscribers. I know that you have taken responsibility for yourself a long, long time ago, and you've moved yourself into a self-sustaining environment where, if you had to, you could hunt your food, you could provide your own power, water, etc., etc. And that is obviously the ultimate position. As you say, no matter how much gold and silver you got, it's going to be difficult anyway. So you need food, but I think silver would, for the people that can't, who are stuck in a town, for example, obviously we suggest to them, look, at least get out of these worthless $0 or what will ultimately be a $0 into maybe some silver coins. And at least if you're not, even if you haven't got a lot of spare money, at least to diversify into gold and silver. So for those people living in a town that can't do what you can do, and obviously I would recommend people try and contact you and find out how they may do that. But what should they be doing, Bill? Because they'll be looking at this thinking, yeah, what do I do?
I believe that your current location is more important. I mean, obviously having some metal outside of the system, that's a must. Otherwise you have no money. Because when this goes down, the wealth accrual into gold and silver will be beyond what anybody, including you or I, suspect is coming. I think it's going to be far larger. But I think your location is the most important. You can't use your gold and silver if you're dead. And if you live in a city right now and the system goes down, you're dead. If you don't have a place outside of the city where you can, let's use the word hide, pull a rock over the hole and wait for the storm to clear. If you're in a city, you're dead. There's no way to defend yourself. Suburbs, it'll get there, pretty quickly. But out in the country, I mean, if you are remote, and you've done some things such as, power source, a water source, food sources, food stocked up, and a way to defend that position, you're going to last an awful lot longer, and you may make it all the way through to the other side, however long that takes. But I think your location, at this point, location is the most critical decision for people to make at this point.
I think people should check out, and we should all take responsibility for ourselves. If you're unable to make the kind of move that you have done, Bill, I have heard of these organizations where, as you say, like-minded people have set up funded community where essentially everyone takes responsibility for themselves. They're armed, you've got food, you've got a basically somewhere where you can actually serve each other and put a ring fence about yourself. So people should do their own research on that, because I know it's there.
A good source to research is right on my website. I have an icon up top. It's called Grizzly's Corner. And that is written, there's probably a dozen or more articles. I mean, this is a guy who can go up into the mountains with a pack of mules, live for 6 months, and come out, stronger than he was when he went in. It's a great resource, and there's all kinds of links within his writings of products and things that he's actually used. So he can say, he can say, well, you could do A or B. I tried A, it wasn't really that great, but B worked, and here's the link to it. So that's a great resource if you're wanting to prep. It's a Grizzly's Corner on my website, is a great resource.